Yes.
So maybe we can dedicate the learning. It's my father's yard site to dedicate the learning in his memory and to the neshama should have an aliyah.
Amen. What was his name?
Pesach ben Abraham Alevi.
Okay. So noted. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, we're on Kufyud 110A. Um, and we're talking about udders and the consumption of udders, even though they are an organ which obviously contains or processes milk. Um, we're up to Ravin Rav Yitzchak. It's about um, two, three, four, five. Yeah, 13 lines from the top. Ravin Rav Yitzchak. So it's another anecdote here about the consumption of kachal, the udder with meat. Rav Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef Iklu Levei Rav Papi. Um, uh, they Ravin and Rav Yitzchak came to the house of Rav Papi. Aisu lekamayu tavshila dichal, and they served roast udder. Rav Yitzchak Bar Yosef Achel. The Ravin lo achel. One of them ate, one of them didn't. Abai said, Ravin techala amai lo achel. Why didn't you eat the udder? Michte. What could it be? Devesu Rav Papi's wife, who presumably was in charge of the kitchen, um, Barte de Rav Yitzchak Nafcha Havai. She was the daughter of Rav Yitzchak Nafcha. Rav Yitzchak Nafcha, Mari de Uvda Hava. He was a master of kashrus, or generally maybe he was a bentara. He followed the halacha. Ilav de Shamil Lami Bein Nasha Lo Havavda. If so, Rav Papi's wife
Rashi
was his
says that
daughter.
he was. Rashi says he was a zahir b'masim tovim.
Okay, good.
Mara de uvda.
Is it tzaddik? Yeah. Um, so, uh, so, um, so his daughter must have absorbed what happened in her father's house, and obviously, if she's serving other, then it must be sanctioned by Rav Yitzchak Nafcha. Basically, we leave it at that. It's like obviously, it was permissible to eat. Basura lo achli kachle. In Surah, they didn't eat others at all. But Pumbedisa, Achli Kachli, and Pumbedisa, they did. Rami bar Tamre, who Rami bar Dikule Pumbedisa. Rami bar Tamre, who was also known as Rami bar Dikule from Pumbedisa, equal to Surah. B'mali Yom Kippur, he got to Surah on Erev Yom Kippur. Afkinu, so he came from a place where they ate other to a place where they didn't. Afkinu kuli alma de kachlinu shadinu. I saw everybody throwing away the others, like everybody was preparing dinner, but they didn't keep the others. Azaliu naktinu achlinu. So he says, perfectly good meat going to waste. I'm going to go collect all these others and eat them. I Isula coming to Rav Chisda. So they summoned him to Rav Chisda. They brought him there. Amar Le, Rav Chisda said, Amai Tavidachi, what are you doing this? Like, we don't eat others here. What is this, you eating others? Amar Le, Miasr Rav Yehuda, not Dachil. I'm from the place of Rav Yehuda, from Pumpadisa, where it's permitted, we permit these. Amar Le, Rav Chisda says, V'lei slach, what about the rule that if you're traveling, then you have to abide by the chumras of the place you come from and the chumras of the place you're visiting.
Don't we
So,
see that in Gemara Pesachim where people would work on Erev Pesach and in
hmm
some companies and they
yeah,
didn't work in the other? There was and you have to observe the
yeah,
minhag of the makom.
yeah. It's also comes up in the context of people who are visiting Eretz Yisrael on Yom Tov, or vice versa, right? You have to keep you may have to keep both your chumras and the place that so if you're from Chutz La'aretz, you have to keep the second day of Yom Tov. Or
It's a
that's one of
very
the contentions.
complicated. It's a very
Yeah. But
complicated.
that's one of the factors, right? That's one of the contentions. Anyway, so what are you doing eating others, right? You can't eat others here. Amalei, he said, "Chutz litchum achaltinu." No, I wasn't in the city when I ate them. I collected them in the city. And I went out I went out to the park. I went outside the city where there is no established custom outside of the city, and I ate it there. Uvama Tivisinu. Um, what did you like? If that's the case, where'd you get a stove? Like, well, where did you? If you're outside the city, how were you able to cook it? So he said, but Portune with these great pits. So he found debris, combustible stuff that he was able to light a fire. Vidilma miyayin nesach. I caught you. If you're using grape pits, maybe it's grape pits from yayin nesach, which you can't use. Amalei, lachar shnei masar chodesh havu. No, they were already sitting out there. They were clearly dried out for more than a year, and once at that point, they're not asr b'hana anymore. They've kind of changed. Um, they're not considered like wine products anymore. Vidoma de Gazelhava. Well, wait a minute. So maybe these are stolen things that you're using to light the fire. Amalei,
Hefker.
definitely. They were so old that that weeds were growing around them or in them. So clearly, use applies. And so even if they were stolen, the owners have clearly given up on them, and so it's not considered stolen goods anymore. Chazir lo malach tefillin, and Rav Chisda saw that he wasn't wearing his tefillin. Amalei, my tamal malach tefillin. Why not? Amalei, choli mi'ayin. I've got some stomach ailment, and you're not supposed to wear tefillin if you can't control your bowels. V'yam Rav Yehuda, choli mi'ayin, patr min tefillin. You shouldn't wear tefillin if you're having an intestinal problem. Chazir lo havel karami chute. He saw they didn't have tzitzis. He wasn't wearing tzitzis on his garment. Amalei, my tamalei sanchuti. Why aren't you wearing tzitzis? Amalei, tell us shulahi, because it's not my shirt. Somebody else's shirt, and you only have to wear tzitzis technically on your own clothing. V'yamar Yehuda, talis. If you're borrowed a shirt or a garment, then for the first 30 days you don't have to put tzitzis on. So he's the story is kind of it's becoming increasingly improbable that this person was properly shomer mitzvahs. But he does have an excuse for everything. Adabachi.
Excuse for everything. This also reminds, there's a custom. I mean,
They
there's a practice that one tears the shirt when you go to the kotel. You haven't been there a while. So some
right.
people exchange the shirts. They borrow someone else's shirt. So
So they
therefore,
yeah.
they,
So they
they,
don't
they
have
get
to tear
around
it.
this.
Yeah. Um, anyway, Anahachi, by the by, I see lahu gavra have a moker avu avime. They brought to Rav Chisda somebody else who had not been honoring his father and mother. Um, Kaftu, so they tied him up like they're going to give him lashes.
Sounds like this week's parsha, Ben Socher Morer.
That's right. Amalu Shavku. So Rami Bar Tamre, this guy said to them, let him go, to Tanya. You have a brisa. Call mitzvahs and say shematan schar b'tzida. If you have a mitzvah that where the Torah tells you what the reward is going to be, ain based in shalmata musarin love. That's not under the jurisdiction of human courts to punish the person. Um, and of course, the mitzvah of kibbud avim is kaves avicha v'esimecha l'man yarichun yomecha. So that's the reward is written right in there. So like you can't give him lashes. Amalei, Rav Chisda says in Chazina de Charif Tuva. I see that you're a pretty sharp guy. Amalei, like you know all the rules. You know how to get out of everything. Amalei, Rami said to him, Ihava ba'asrei de Rav Yehuda achvina lachurfai. You think I'm so smart? If you were in Rav Yehuda's city, if you were there in which one, Surah Pumbedisa, whichever one that he came from, then I'll show you smart people, right? In other words, I'm nothing compared to the other people that I know who are smart.
He came
Um,
from Pumbedisa, right? I think so.
yeah,
Well,
right.
I'm not a rabbi, but I've never seen anybody tearing their shirt at the kotel.
Me either.
Yeah, and I know that there are rabbis who say not to do it.
People do. People tear the shirt. They do.
I'm only by Rav Safra. Now we're going to switch back to livers. We've been talking about udders. We're talking about cooking liver, which has a lot of blood in it. Amar Lebayla Rav Safra. Kisalkos lahasam, when you get to where you're going to Eretz Yisrael, Ba'aminau kavda ma'atun beit. Ask them, what do they do with liver? Kisalik, when he got there, Ashkechei or Rav Zrika. Rav Safra found Rav Zrika, and Amarle, so Rav Zrika said to him, Ana, what I do is, Shalkele l'Rebbe Ami v'achel. Well, what I have done is I myself have cooked the liver for Rav Ami, and he ate it. So clearly we consider it permissible to eat. Kiasel Gabe, so Rav Safra goes back home. Amarle, Abai said to him, L'meisar nafsha lo kamayali. I wasn't asking you if if you could eat liver, right, by itself. Kikam Bailey, what I was asking you is Lemesar Chaverte. Um, like if you cook the liver in a stew with other stuff, does that make it usher? So he's saying, like, I understand. Rabbi says, um, I know that I'm not going to eat liver. Okay. Um, without removing the blood. But if it's in the stew and the blood is in the stew, then what? Um, so my shalomesha nafshalom mibayalach. So Rav Safra is like, I understand. Like, you don't have any question that the liver itself is usher. So ditnan, like, why is that not a question? Ditnan, we have a mishnah. Eina neseres. If you cook a liver in a pot, the pot doesn't become usher by absorbing the blood. L'meiser chaverta nami lo tibayalach. So if that's the case, like if you're willing, if you know the rules about liver and the liver makes the pot usher through the blood in it. So the stew that's cooked in the meat should also be obvious to Tanan. We also have a mission about that. Hakavedo seres veino naseres. The liver itself can make other meat usher, but it doesn't itself become usher. Mipnei shehi poletes veino balas, because the rule is, so the whole idea of pots becoming usher or mixtures becoming usher is that the pot or the other food absorbs the isur that it's being cooked with. Okay, but here's a rule that we have that applies to that. That while it is while something is giving off this isur, like the liver through its blood is making other things usur, while it is, pardon the pun, bleeding out the isur, it can't be at the same time absorbing. It's like a one-way street.
Kach poto, kach boleo.
Yeah, but this is but with this, that's true. But what this is saying is it can't happen simultaneously. Either you're emitting an ether or you're absorbing an ether, but you can't do both at once. Okay, so what he's saying is that the Mishnah means that um, the liver itself is giving out the blood, so it remains kosher. The other stuff absorbs the blood, and so that becomes not kosher. Okay, so Rav Safra is saying that the same Mishnah that you're saying that the liver itself is not asur, it also, that same Mishnah is telling you that everything else is asur. So why are you even asking? It's quite clear in the Mishnah. So he said to Rav Safra,
So that's only if they're cooked together. Now, what if they cook later, isn't it? And not bar
well,
not.
he's asking about a stew, right? He's asking
Right, but
about
isn't it? Don't we have? Isn't this not bar not if he's cooking? Let's say he's cooking it later. I guess, right? There's a
what do you
difference
mean
here.
later?
Well, I mean
Later than
that's what
what?
I'm trying to understand. That do we have a discussion? There is an issue of not bar not, right? Or
Yeah.
is that not? Or is that doesn't quite apply here?
Well, that's not, I mean, I'm not sure how that's relevant here.
That's
That's
what I'm thinking.
like, um, that's a two-step process,
Right,
right?
right.
But here we're talking about one activity or um, one thing that's happening, which is you're cooking the liver in a stew or in a pot. Okay, so the liver, if it's emitting the blood, by the same token that you're saying the liver is okay, you're saying that the rest of the stuff is not okay because it's a one-way street. The liver is giving out the blood. The blood gets absorbed by the pot, but it doesn't transmit back to the liver because it's simultaneous. So as I said, it's a one-way street. The idea is that 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 while it is emitting, it can't be absorbing.
So if the liver was cooked by itself, would that be permitted?
So yes, that because if you so that's we have some like different views about that, but there is a way for you um to eat the liver. Yeah, you may have to tear it, you may have to drain the blood, um, but um, so the liver itself can be made kosher, but it's still emitting blood that may make the other things, the pot or the other things in the pot, may make them not kosher, which is a little paradoxical, right? But that's what that is what Rav Safra is saying. So Abaye says,
Ideally, are they should they be draining the blood of the liver before they cook it? Is that or if they put the liver in the pot and it's a lot of blood leaks from the liver. We say the liver is kosher or
right.
not.
So whatever view you take, there is a way for you to eat the liver. Exactly what the procedure is, that's we'll put that aside. Okay, we had different views about that, but there is a way to drain the blood from the liver. Okay, but nobody thinks that like that means that all the blood is gone. It means that enough of the blood is gone that you can eat the liver. That's the way I understand it. Okay, but there's still blood being emitted by the liver that is absorbed by the pot. So the
So the
pot should
pot,
become not kosher.
and yet the
And
liver's
and yet
still
the liver
cooking in the
stays
pot.
kosher. Exactly. It's like paradoxical, right? The
Right.
liver itself remains kosher. It's almost like the paraduma, right? The tummy becomes tahar and the tahar becomes tummy. Um, but you can see like because of this rule that while the liver is emitting the isur of blood, the asur blood, it can't reabsorb it. Okay, so that's why the liver itself remains kosher. So Amarle, so Abaye says no. You're not understanding it right. Dilma Hassan bechavda d'isura. No, what that mission is not talking about a regular liver where the liver itself is kosher. We're talking about a liver that's usher. Maybe it was a trefa in the vela or something. Um, so the liver itself is usher to begin with. That's why everything becomes not kosher. Mishum shamnu nisa, because the that the other meat that's being cooked with it is absorbing the fat or the flavor or whatever of the usher liver of the non-kosher liver. Um, uh, but that's still mishum dama mai. But that doesn't. If that's what the mission is talking about, then it's not addressing the question of our kosher liver in a that is still emitting blood. So that's why I still don't. The rabbi says that's why I'm asking the question. Ki hadar salik. So Rav Safra goes back to Eretz Yisrael. Ashkechei Rav Zrika. So he meets Rav Zrika again. Amarle. So Rav Zrika answered him, "Hi name lo tibaylach." Don't ask like you don't. It's not a. He's asking now. He's asking specifically about kosher liver in a stew or in a pot. His Rav Zrika says also don't worry about that. The ana v'yanai bered Rav Ami, because here's what happened to me in Rav Yanai. Iklan Leve Yehuda Bered Rav Shimon ben Pazi. We went to the house of this Yehuda, son of Rav Shimon ben Pazi. V'karivu le kanya b'kofe v'chalna, and they served us kanya, which is a trachea. Okay, with the surrounding meat. Okay, the heart, the lungs, the heart, and presumably the liver, and it was all cooked together. V'chalna, and we ate it. Um, so. Um, so, so that incident answers your question about a kosher liver in a stew, that the whole thing is kosher. Okay. In other words, what we're saying, what he's saying is that the blood of the liver, if you presumably prepare the liver properly, any blood that remains is kosher even in the stew. So Maska Fla Ravashi Vitem Rav Shmuel Zerukina, Ravashi, or maybe this Rabbi Shmuel asked, Vidilma Pikana Chutz Lichterava. You're bringing a case from this trachea that's being cooked with the attached organs. Maybe the outer edge of the trachea was outside of the pot. And so, like, maybe all the blood was directed, the blood from the liver was directed outside the pot. Like, this is a bit of a weird objection, right? But he's saying, like, you could understand that you could set this up as a case where really the blood from the liver would make something else in the pot not kosher. But maybe the blood from the liver never got into the rest of the pot. Maybe it found its way out through the trachea that it was attached to. Iname, or you could say Michlat havachalit lemeikara. Maybe it was the liver had been seared beforehand. Okay, so this is our practice with liver, right? Is that you roast it or whatever. There's a way for to keep it from emitting the blood. Okay, so the fact that you've got a case where you ate liver in a stew and everything was kosher, maybe that they had processed the liver properly beforehand so that it wouldn't make the other things unkosher. For Rav Nachman, cholti le baroschin. Oh, sorry, kihad Rav Huna cholti le b'chala, because that's what Rav Huna would do. He would sear or seal the liver with vinegar. Rav Nachman cholti le baroschin, or Rav Nachman would use hot water, boiling water, and that would seal the blood inside the liver. So the fact that you have a case that the liver in the stew, the whole thing was kosher, maybe the liver was processed correctly beforehand so that it wouldn't emit the blood and make other things in the pot trafe. And tomorrow we will discover more about how to prepare the liver.
So that's it?
Yeah, that's it for today. Yeah.
All right.
So
Yasher Koach.
okay. Take care.